incompetent about this military operation, in your opinion, in your expert opinion?
I don't. First of all, I never served, and let me start by saying
this is incompetent. I want to know what's incompetent.
No. I think Pete Hegseth is incompetent.
Why?
I think
what's happening?
Because he has an inability to tell the truth.
Decorated military.
Very different resumes.
Decorated
there
military.
Is no one.
Can you not acknowledge that the man served?
The man served. Yes, the man served. He
highly decorated.
Not in combat.
Not in combat.
Hegseth?
He wasn't in combat, was he?
Guys, MAGA's biggest pundit, Scott Jennings, was once again humiliated last night during a live broadcast on CNN. The topic of the show was the killing of 160 school children in Tehran. Guys, the New York Times reported it was a Tomahawk missile that was used to hit the school. So, I mean, the involvement of a Tomahawk missile alone makes it pretty clear the U.S. Army hit that building. And now, these MAGA clowns like Scott Jennings, they're so shameless, they'll go to any length to defend that horrendous act. I mean, 160 children are dead, and you don't have the balls to call out Trump and his administration? If you remember, guys, just a month ago, when ICE detained a 5-year-old immigrant boy and there was an outrage throughout the country, these MAGA clowns were still turning into logic pretzels to defend ICE. Guys, for some reason, these MAGA stooges have zero empathy for children. This isn't the first time they're acting like this. I mean, just see how they're trying to bury the Epstein files. Thousands of children became victims of Jeffrey Epstein and his clients. It should have been the top priority of this administration to expose everybody involved in that scandal. But neither this administration nor MAGA gives a damn about any of that. They don't care if pedophiles get a free pass. And secondly, right now, every conservative media is implying or outright saying that Iran got a hold of U.S.-manufactured Tomahawk missiles and launched it at themselves. I mean, this is so dumb, so disgusting at this point. What really frightens me is the fact that each one of those schoolgirls have parents, extended family, friends, who all have a very good reason to hate America now. We gave 1,000 more people a reason to seek revenge on America. And Donald Trump, he's destroyed America's image internationally with this war. After this incident, the entire world is now questioning whether Americans are actually the good guys in this war or not. I mean, no one likes a child killer. That's a fact. This war by Donald Trump is probably the biggest mistake in his tenure, if not American history. Now I'm going to roll some clips from the show. I'll give my opinion as we go.
Tonight, more evidence that the U.S. was likely behind the strike on that school in Iran. Iranian media says that it killed at least 168 children and 14 teachers. This video shows what experts say is a U.S. Tomahawk missile striking an Iranian Navy base right next to that school. The same day, the school was struck. This weekend, President Trump insisted it was Iran who attacked the school. And today, he appeared to somewhat back off that claim, but he still suggested that it could have been Iran.
I will say that the Tomahawk, which is one of the most powerful weapons around, is used by, is sold and used by other countries, that. Whether it's Iran or somebody else, the fact that a tomahawk is very generic. It's sold to other countries. But that's being investigated right now.
You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
But experts tell CNN the Tomahawk missiles are not generic. And while other countries like the United Kingdom and Australia do possess them, Iran does not. But Pete Hegseth is striking also a very different tone from the president on this story. Listen.
Well, we're still investigating, and that's where I'll leave it today. But what I will emphasize to you and to the world is that unlike our adversaries, the Iranians, we never target civilians.
There was a report late in the week from 2 officials that it was likely U.S. involvement. Is that report false?
I've already said we're investigating.
If you could tell the American public it definitively was not us, you would tell us, wouldn't you?
I would say that it's being investigated, which is the only answer I'm prepared to give.
It is a question whether they would tell us, because the president acknowledged in his comments today that he didn't know what happened. I have questions about why that is at this stage. But also, then he spins this whole false narrative about it could have been anyone, including the Iranians, because everybody has Tomahawks, when that's very much not true. I mean, if you're anyone listening to that, how can you believe that they are interested in getting to the truthful answer here?
Well, I will not agree with Pete Hegseth that often, but I think he did give the right response in that interview that this is under investigation. It does have to be looked at. And because when something goes under investigation, especially by the Department of Defense, You have to let the investigation play out, even if there is definitive video. And I think that is important that he acknowledged that. I will say that when I was at the Department of Defense under Secretary Austin, we had a center of excellence that mitigated civilian harm. That was an office that was basically been completely gutted by Secretary Hegseth by I think like 90%. But these were civilians embedded with combatant commands, such as CENTCOM, that would launch strikes and be part of their targeting process. So I'm not saying that is why this strike happened. I think there has to be an investigation.
Why is Trump misleading about it? Because he is misleading about it.
But but I hear you. Lloyd Austin was former Commander General of CENTCOM, 4-star General, Pete Hegseth, Fox News host.
Yes, very different resumes.
Very different resumes.
Decorated military.
Very different resumes.
Decorated
there is no one.
Can you not acknowledge that the man served?
The man served. Yes, the man served. He's
highly decorated.
Not in combat.
Not in combat.
Hegseth?
He wasn't in combat.
Iraq and Afghanistan.
I mean, the man served our country.
And he, I think, had a Bronze Star for his
But
service.
my point that I want to get back to is...
Look at Scott. Dear Lord, how embarrassing is this? Scott is so eager to bootlick Trump and all the cabinet members. I mean, he's been bootlicking the entire cabinet for so many years, and he didn't know that? It's like he found out Santa isn't real, and now he's in trauma. And guys, I don't know why these MAGA idiots keep repeating the same propaganda that Pete Hegseth knows what he's doing since, quote unquote, he has served in the military. I mean, the man has never served in combat. He's never put his foot on the battlefield. So, I mean, he can never understand what it actually takes to go to war with a country like Iran. Guys, I cannot imagine any soldier looking and listening to that man and not feeling an enormous amount of cringe. He is so colossally stupid that it's literally painful to listen to him speak. He literally thinks that he knows what he's doing and that people think he's qualified. I mean, he's clearly a clueless puppet. I don't understand why MAGA is always attracted to the worst possible man in the room. I mean, Pete has such a creepy personality. The man is not even loved by his own mother. I don't know if you've read this or not, but this is on record. In 2018, Hegseth's mother, Penelope, sent him an email that said, quote unquote, "You are an abuser of women. That is the ugly truth, and I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man, and have been for years, and as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is the sad, sad truth." So, I mean, even his own mother doesn't like him. I don't know why Republican voters consider him such a hero and alpha male. Right now, it feels like we have a bunch of 13-year-old boys running the country. I mean, photoshopping their heads onto movie posters, calling the war in Iran Operation Epic Fury, like it's an old Steven Seagal movie, changing the name of Department of Defense to Department of War. Looks like everything is fun and games for this administration. Nothing is being taken serious.
There is a level of competence that the American public is thirsting for that they are not getting from Pete Hegseth. And we're seeing that. When he is up there...
And transparency.
Transparency. That's all we want. We're talking about 160 children that were killed. All we want is an honest answer that comes from you and the President of the United States. This isn't politics. This isn't Lindsey Graham versus Cory Booker. This is just tell us what we're doing, because we have 7 soldiers, as Abby corrected me last segment. We have 7 soldiers who've died. We have 160 children who've died. We understand that this is the fog of war. However, we want a level of competence from Pete Hegseth that we're not getting.
I do think that we are
What
going
is
to
incompetent
know.
about this military operation, in your opinion, in your expert opinion?
I don't. First of all, I never served, and let me start
You're
by
quick to say
saying
this
that.
is incompetent.
No,
I want to know what's incompetent.
No. I think Pete Hegseth is incompetent.
Why?
I think
What's happening?
Because he has an inability to tell the truth.
What did he say? What did he say that was false?
Because we know what happened.
No, there don't. They're investigating.
Well, I mean, look, there is.
Wait a minute,
hold on.
No.
Hold on.
I want all of you all to go out on a limb right now and tell me that the United States, even during the fog of war, did not kill those kids. Tell me they didn't.
I don't know. They're investigating it, and I'm willing to abide by the results.
I do think,
as she said, that's the right answer.
It is fine and important for there to be an investigation. I actually think Major Garrett's last question might have been the most important, which is, if the investigation does find that we are responsible,
would you ever know?
Would you tell us?
Because
I think that's what, to me, when I think about the United States military and how we act on the world stage, that is one of the main things that makes us different.
Right. And I think that right now we have to assume, and I'm going to assume, that the U.S. military, because the level that these investigations are handled is like nowhere near any political thing. My thing, I believe that the U.S. military will conduct a very fair and thorough investigation, and they will come up with the answer. I looked at the imagery myself. I think the answer is going to be that we did it, but I don't know, because I'm just looking at imagery, right?
But
just
will
like
they
the
tell us,
Americans are.
Beth?
But I think,
I mean, I know they will do an investigation,
I think
but will
that
they tell
it will
us?
come out. So if the military investigators come out with that as the answer, if they do not tell the truth at that moment, if they suppress that, we know we are in a completely different
I don't think anybody has. I don't think anybody has faith that Pete Hegseth will stand in front of a camera and say that we did this.
But mistakes happen in war.
Did you call for the same transparency when Lloyd Austin was AWOL? He had his medical issues and was
He
not
wasn't
present.
AWOL. He had a medical issue.
And there was an investigation into that that we released.
She was there.
I was there. I was there. We released not only that investigation. We released about the withdrawal. We released about Afghanistan and Iraq.
But
we released every single investigation, and he took full accountability and responsibility for that.
Did you agree with the president when the president, after all the Afghanistan investigations, judged it to be a raging success, President Biden?
Well, I didn't say that. I think he didn't say that.
But there was
he did
also
not say it was a
he
raging
said it was
success.
He said it was a big
no, and
success.
he actually expressed the solemnity of the moment of the withdrawal
and all the failures that went into that.
But the commander in chief still thinks it was
that was done, and that was
I do not think he came out when the deaths of service members when we had deaths of service members saying it was successful.
He checked his watch at the remains transfer, didn't he?
I mean,
first of all, Donald Trump literally was talking about ballrooms after six soldiers died and wore a hat.
I think the most.
I think he's right. Donald Trump doesn't give a damn about the lives of our soldiers he's sent to fight. He was literally hosting a party at Mar-a-Lago the night the U.S. attacked Iran. So, I mean, this is the level of respect he has for the troops sacrificing their lives for his pointless war. And secondly, guys, I don't understand why Scott is calling this war a raging success. I mean, this is such a bullshit narrative. Iran has destroyed 27 of our bases in the Middle East. We controlled the region for many decades, and now we've totally lost it. Iran has been able to kill 7 of our servicemen so far. So, no, it's not a success for America. However, if you look at it from Trump's perspective, this war is greatly benefiting him on a personal level. It's been a great success for him. The purpose of attacking Iran was to get the media to stop talking about the Epstein files, and he succeeded in that, at least in the short term. Guys, I just don't understand how MAGA doesn't care that their president has been mentioned 38,000 times in the Epstein files. Every Republican I know says it's all fake and they don't believe any of it. In fact, they say that about everything these days. To them, life has never been better, and no one will tell them otherwise. During the previous administration, Republicans would call everyone a pedophile and would not shut up about the Epstein files. But now that Trump is the president and they can open those files, they now have gone totally silent. Now they're going to wars and bombing children just to distract from it. They should really name this war after Epstein because, you know, it's the only logical reason I can find behind this clueless, pointless war. Guys, these days, it's hard to be more hypocritical than a Republican. Trump has no real public support for this war except his MAGA cult. He clearly didn't really think this through. The Iraq and Afghanistan wars were because of 9/11. Trump thought he was going to get the same support against Iran, but he didn't. Every American knows the real purpose behind this war.
Important thing Hegseth said, and all Americans need to know and understand this. The difference between us and the enemy, we do not target civilians. When it happens, and it will happen in war, it is tragic and it is not meant to be. The enemy targets civilians. They hide behind civilians. They fund people who set up bases in hospitals so that civilians are in the way. That's not what we do. An investigation needs to occur. All the truth needs to be told. And we will give transparency to the American people. But there's 2 parts of this war. Our part and the enemy. The enemy targets civilians. Look what they're doing all over the region.
But the story doesn't end there, Scott. The story is not just we don't target civilians. It is also that when mistakes happen on the battlefield, we
truth.
take accountability for them.
Correct.
That's the important part.
Nobody has faith. Nobody has faith that this administration.
You're presuming a lot.
Well, no. I mean,
investigation is not over.
Listen,
Yes.
I started by asking the basic question: why is the president of the United States misleading about some basic information about who has Tomahawk missiles and who doesn't? Answer that.
Abby, I think the investigation is still going on. I don't know why he said people have other countries
and then
have Tomahawks.
why is he saying,
they
as if it is fact,
so why
when
are you
the
assuming they're not going to
investigation?
be honest with the American people?
Okay, so why is he stating, as if it is fact, when the investigation hasn't been completed, that Iran was responsible?
Look, what we do know.
That's why I'm asking these questions, because the president
to
is
Scott's
making
point,
false
what we
statements
do
about
know-
something that is awful.
Yeah, and it's tragic. It's tragic, period. It's an absolute tragedy.
Yes.
We also know that Iran funded people who raped and killed young girls in Israel.
Trust me, I understand that
facts.
fully. And there is
That's true.
no equivalency between Iran's malignance on the world stage and this. And in fact, it is the opposite of an equivalency. It's actually an insistence on the United States upholding its own standards.
Just have a higher standard.
That's what it is.
We
And listen,
we cannot. I say this all the time. You know, when you roll around with pigs, you both get dirty, but the pigs likes it, right? But we cannot drag ourselves down to that level of depravity. And all I want,
We're not.
We're not.
I believe that the American public, when you have soldiers who go to battle, who die, deserve truth and honesty and accountability. And that's all I want. And I'm just saying that from my perspective, one that's naive, country boy from South Carolina, right? I don't believe Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump, to be honest, because they can't tell you the truth about simple things.
Can I just jump in on what Bakari's saying? Because I take your point on the honesty and transparency into what Abby's saying. It's like, why did the president lie about this? It's so blatant. Like, if Iran had Raytheon technology, that would be a huge problem. I do think that we have to acknowledge here, Raytheon makes the Tomahawks, so I think we have to acknowledge here that Congress has a role to play, and Congress, to the questions about the Secretary's health, the questions about the Afghanistan withdrawal, they also have an oversight committee that can conduct an investigation and can demand records from the department that we also supplied during that time. So I think Congress has a voice.
Laura Ingraham, I think, has been sending a few messages about this directly to the administration, not only saying that there needs to be accountability, it has to be addressed publicly, but also saying that it needs to be the investigation needs to be wrapped up quickly and addressed head on. I think speed is actually important here, because if you wait for the news outlets to do their sort of layman's investigation, you can at least say I know there's going to be a full picture of this in great detail.
I think she's
right.
But
the administration could say more than they're saying now, and they could tell the president to stop misleading. That's the other thing that they could do.
Part of that is that, the president is not on message because someone didn't tell him what the message was. Right. I mean, I don't really, I'm guessing that he's not like willfully blaming Iran when he knows. I just feel like this whole thing is a lot of not really telling each other what they're supposed to say. This entire episode is
too many people are talking.
And not well informed. They could do a better job.
All right. Next for us.
I just don't understand why these people try to twist themselves to make excuses for Trump. I mean, just accept it. This war is a big blunder by Donald Trump. And secondly, guys, today Trump said in his presser that the war is almost over. I mean, they can't even get their lies straight. I mean, if we just look at the military movements right now, the war isn't almost over. It's actually ramping up. They took Patriots from Korea to redeploy in the Middle East, and they just launched 3 B-1 bombers this morning. They won't do this if the war was almost over. Militaries tend to ramp down towards the end, not escalate. And guys, we have to understand this. The entire war started just because Donald Trump had a feeling that Iran was going to attack. The Pentagon recently revealed in Congress that there were no signals that Iran was going to attack. I mean, the man is so dumb that he decided to prioritize his gut feeling over the Pentagon's intelligence report. Thousands of troops pushed into war just because he had a feeling. This administration planned for nothing, literally nothing. Trump admitted yesterday that he doesn't know enough about the situation. Rubio said the U.S. got involved at Israel's behest. Hegseth gloated about wanting to kill as many as possible, disregarding the rules of engagement, and yet nothing is happening to them. The entire administration is clueless about what their objectives are and where this war is headed. And secondly, guys, I don't know whose dumb idea it was to kill Ayatollah. I mean, we didn't just kill their leader, but their leader's entire family, except his son, who's now in charge, by the way. The guy who just lost his entire family, including his wife and kids. Like, I'm almost speechless. Also, the country is reeling from one of the Tomahawk missiles, which killed 160 children. So I guess Trump's agency to de-escalate this thing is a ship that is long gone. I think this time it's Iran, not the U.S., who gets to decide when the war ends. So, I mean, this is a pretty serious situation because, Trump has a crippling, narcissistic personality disorder that requires him to show he's a big man and can't ever lose. If Trump doesn't get a decent exit, I believe he's crazy enough to start thinking about nuclear options. And guys, what really pisses me off is the fact that Donald Trump literally campaigned on the idea he's not going to start new wars. But now, not a single Republican voter seems to care about that. Nobody from the right seems to call him out. In fact, they're all turning into logic pretzels to defend him. It's just disgusting at this point. And secondly, if you remember, almost 8 months ago, when Trump dropped bunker bombs over Iranian nuclear sites, he said this on record, that the Iranian nuclear program was, quote-unquote, obliterated. He said their nuclear progress was completely decimated. So, I mean, if everything was destroyed by us earlier, then why on earth are we wasting billions of dollars to pound them again? According to recent news, we've already spent $10 billion in just 10 days of war. That's $1 billion a day. I mean, this much money could have solved so many problems in our country. I guess the biggest winner of this war is going to be Trump's billionaire friends. They're going to sell weapons to the U.S. Army, and the biggest loser is going to be the U.S. public. All right, I'm going to leave it here for today, guys. I'll see you again tomorrow with another one.